Hello, I want to welcome you to pretty much the end of the first week of our course. And I'm looking at your participation in the forum. I gotta tell you that is a lot more than I expected. I thought you guys were gonna take the easy road and just answer a little bit of questions. Thankfully, that's not the case. I want to thank Abigail Lopez Felix for being the first one to start this ball rolling. Right? So, her definition of ESP is not it doesn't meet specific needs for the learners, and it uses a simple approach to teaching. Yeah, we have to work on that. You remember that you study methods and approaches. Now we're gonna retake that and discuss it because ESP, well, has a mind of its own. It's going to help for me as an English teacher in such a way that I would teach the lesson using a specific content and specific methods that are needed by the students based on their language. Now, there's something called content-based teaching, which is for just working with English. With ESP, we're not really teaching, basic English. We are working with specific functions of areas like medicine or law or something like that. So we're not really going to teach English in itself. We're going to teach how to do the things that doctors need to do, the lawyers need to do, the architects need to do, but in English. Okay, so we got Antonio Torres here answering Abigail. Antonio has been very active. I appreciate that. Abigail applies. We got Ayla Legay. Welcome back, Ayla. Congratulating Abigail on the. You wrote keywords like specific needs, specific content, specific methods, which is good. Always define ESP in the best way. Well, yeah, we have specific needs, but those needs will vary according to your group. So we're going to see that there are certain characteristics that always follow an ESP course, and specific needs definitely the cornerstone of any ESP course. Specific content, yes, that's also vary from discipline to discipline, field to field. The methods, remember it can vary. I mean, ESP is not a method in itself. It uses other methods to teach. Okay, so we want to go over that. We got replying to Ayla. Here we got Miriam Herrera Peñuelas. Says I will be sincere. I have a problem with spelling there. With I thought. I want to check that. English for specific purposes, and I think it says here. I think it relates to English that had different purposes, like skills for specific careers. Yes, definitely, that's on the right track. I believe that each career has different expressions, vocabulary, structure in their field. Structure, not so much because it's still English. So the structure, the way words get together, the way they interact, how their semantic and syntactical use, that's not really going to change that much. But yeah, expressions and vocabulary definitely, they tend to be very specific for each discipline. So therefore, ESP is a benefit for every different career to help us to express and communicate. We have Antonio again here, Antonio Torres. Like I said, very, very active. Thank you, Antonio, for keeping things going. And Antonio says, I believe ESP goes beyond that idea you mentioned about careers. In my opinion, ESP specifies different ways or methods in which the language can be acquired according to what people need and how they need it. Yes, we will see in the next lesson how they need it, what they need, specific needs analysis, but also how they process it. how they process this information. They can go from a career they choose, as you stated, specific activities to work with students in different courses, understanding and interpreting English documents, and so on. So, yes, Antonio, thank you. That was very good. Super good comment. Miriam replies. Right. Thank you. That's good, Miriam. Let's be more specific. Then we got Rocio, Navarro Rangel telling us, as a reply to Miriam, okay, agreeing with Miriam on the term that ESP represents and what it means for students. Yeah. Yeah, totally, Rocio. A lot of schools that they claim to sell ESP courses, but maybe they lack the necessary knowledge and foundation of what is an ESP course. We want to go over that in the next lesson, in the next week. Then we have Mauricio replying to Miriam. Mauricio says that he thought that English was a second something, but yeah, now he's on the right track again. Excellent. Very good. Thank you for watching my video. It's about learning. Yes. Okay, we want to be based on that, not just teaching but also learning. Okay, Antonio posts his definitions of ESP and how it can be meaningful. Right, definitely it depends on the context and the content. Okay, you can see somebody's reading ahead, the absolute characteristics of ESP. So you've been reading, thank you, Antonio, that's very good. According to Dolly Evans, art is defined to meet specific needs of the learners. It makes use of the aligned methodology and activities of the discipline it serves, and it is centered on the language appropriate to their activities in terms of grammar, lesson, register, study skill, discourse, and genre. Yes. Okay. I believe ESP can help me a lot to approach my students according to different needs they have. Yes. Usually we do this with students that are, like-minded, or they have a clear objective that they want to achieve. Because when we teach English for general purpose or EGP, we have a great variety of students. They're not homogeneous; it's very heterogeneous. So you have a housewife with a retiree student, with a professionist, and they have very different needs. So it's very difficult for you to satisfy everybody's needs. So you usually, general purposes, they have like, this is the course and take what you can from it. Some units are very interesting, some units are totally boring for them, we don't know. But in ESP, most of these, they have to have the same goals, to learn the functions that are going to be necessary for them to carry out what they do in their job, in their careers. We got Richard replying to Antonio, and he agrees with Antonio. Okay. Here, I feel that this has more to do with learning techniques, how we guys do this, helping them understand content in second language learning. Or Richard, learning techniques is helpful at any level, and general purposes, ESP, doesn't matter. The techniques are there, but the content and the function, they tend to be more specific in ESP. This last part I don't understand. Nevertheless, I did understand the professional definition of ESP. Okay, so we are on the same track. Antonio takes the lead again and replies to Richard. Good. Then we had Mariel. Thank you, Mariel, for giving your definition. English for purposes is a learner-centered approach that focuses on a specific context of use. In other words, the language that is taught will cover students' language purpose. So doctors, yes. As a language teacher, this will be helpful because I will get to develop a syllabus and material focus on a specific content by taking care of students' needs. Definitely, that's the objective, that's the idea. The idea is that you're able to conduct a thorough needs analysis so you can select the functions, the topics that your students need the most, and try to provide it to them in a reasonable amount of time. What am I say? A short time. Remember, most ESP courses are not very long because these people, by the time they reach out to you for an ESP course, they're on the deadline. They need this for a specific time because they need to present something, or they need to be promoted, or they need to, I don't know. Okay, so usually we have very limited time to teach ESP courses. So we have to, be very clear on what they need. We're going to see the differences between need, wants in the next in the coming weeks, not next week, but coming weeks. Abigail replies to Marielle. It sounds like your post, detail, very good. Excellent. I'm glad that you guys are interacting and you're sharing your ideas. And I don't want to get in the way of that interaction. That's why I'm holding on till the end of the week to give you an overview of your participation, and we're gonna finish with a reflection on what you're sharing. So far it's been very good. Ayla is posting for the first time. Their definition is theoretical view of language, in which language becomes a means of expression. It's combined into a topic or subject relevant to the learner. Okay, I like it. The syllabus is specific to students' needs and goals set by the teacher. Yeah, here in this, set by the teacher, we're going to see, like I mentioned before, we need to conduct a thorough needs analysis, not just with the students, but also with your coordinator, or also with the people that are actually paying for the job, which could be managers, managerial position, bosses. So what is it that they want to include in the course? It is my experience that the last person that should decide what to put in an ESP course should be the teacher, unless you want to create a generic course, generic ESP course. It's like an EGP, take it to that level, because a real ESP course needs to be founded on the needs analysis. That's the cornerstone of an ESP course. So yeah, the teacher shouldn't be the only one making decisions. You definitely need to involve your students, because they're the ones who are going to be doing most of the job, most of the work, and if necessary, your coordinator, their managers, because they also have a say in this, and most of the time they're the ones paying. Okay, so yes, it is up to the teacher to be the syllabus designer rather than follow a book rigidly. There are many ESP materials out there that we can use to adapt to our students' needs. I wouldn't recommend that you follow rigidly any ESP course, because every student is different, for every group is different, their needs are going to be quite distinct. So one ESP book that is made for the whole world is probably not going to fit the necessity, the needs of your students. So knowing ESP teaching methods can be helpful, because it allows, yeah, again, the methods, they go back to basics. An ESP teacher starts out as a general purpose teacher. Okay, so we need to have all those skills that every teacher has in order to really apply them into ESP. I wouldn't recommend somebody that just graduated and hasn't had that teaching experience in general to go straight into ESP, because you need to develop, your skills. You need to really earn your stripes. So if you can handle a general purpose class and you feel comfortable doing that, I think you're ready to go into ESP. And again, those methods, ESP doesn't have a particular method. It helps, it takes from methods and approaches and techniques, whatever is appropriate for your students so they can learn. Jose Alejandro Lopez posting English purpose can be defined as part of the English as second language. Definitely, we're going to see in the next lesson the ESP3. I recommend that you pay attention to that. It means to teach particular vocabulary and or skills to the students who will need to acquire according to. Yeah, this is a common misconception, vocabulary. Definitely, every discipline has its own vocabulary. but it's way more than that. So I will thank you for completing that with skills, because it is the skills, functions that are going to allow students to carry out the things that they do in English. I mean, they're doctors in Spanish, so we need to extrapolate those skills to English. Okay. Now remember, we are not the professionals here. We're not the doctor most of the time. If you're a doctor and you're an English teacher, congratulations, you have just become the ideal teacher for an ESP course in medicine. But most teachers, we are teachers. We are not engineers. We're not architects. So it is the students who have that knowledge, that part of knowledge. We are going to work with them. So working together, we're going to accomplish the goal. Richard answers to Alejandro. Thank you for keeping the ball rolling. Ana Lucia replies to Alejandro as well. Rocío Navarro replies to Alejandro. No problem. Sandra Isela San Pedro help. She's providing us with her definition. ESP is generally used to refer to the teaching of English for a clearly utilitarian purpose. Okay. That is to say that English should be taught to achieve specific language skills using real situations. Very good. Yes. McKay and Mountford. I'm going to check that out. I've heard those guys, but they're right on the money. The students study English not because they're interested in English language or English culture, but because they need English for study or work purposes. Very good. We're going to see the distinctions in ESP as English for specific occupational purposes, ESOP, and English for specific academic purposes. So, yes. Thank you, Sandra. That was very helpful. We have Juan de Dios replying to Sandra. The ESP is directed to people with specialties in certain fields, definitely. Okay, but remember, they have to be fluent in those areas, because we are not going to teach them architecture. We're not going to teach them engineering. We're not engineers. We're not architects. We're going to take what they know and we're going to help them extrapolate those skills into English. That's something that we have to keep in mind. Sandra replies. Okay, very good. I read this methodology is applied for the immigrants, air traffic controllers. Yes. Okay. Now we go back to what I was saying at the beginning. There's something called content-based for people that have no idea about English. They start with content-based, what has evolved in a way into what is now known as CLIL, Content Language Integrated Learning. But ESP is different. Then we got Richard. Richard is helping us with his post. What is CSP? It's the teaching of English to students whose first language is not English. Okay, but needed for a particular job, activity, or purpose. Perfect. Stands for English purposes or special purposes. Okay, like that. How I see it, you can compare to students that have obstacles and they go, of course. Because annoying does not gain a proper understanding. Okay, we have to work on that, Richard. Most of the time, in ESP course, students have a very clear goal. They know what they want to achieve, and that makes it very clear for them, and highly motivates them to just do that. They're not there to, I don't know, talk about healthy diets or something, unless it's a nutrition course. But they have very specific objectives that they want to achieve. We have Alejandro replying to Richard. Okay, so we seem to be good friends. It's the English language for specific purposes. We need to enrich their English with technical terminology. Yes, Alejandro, we're going to work with a specific terminology for their areas. However, remember that ESP is way more than that. There are some words that I've never heard. Okay, good. Excellent. We got, I'm not sure what the pronunciation, Miosotis, sorry if I mispronounce it. What does ESP mean? English for purposes, yes, related to learn English, focus on particular areas, could be medicine. So this will help me to focus in specific points about what I'm studying or what I would like to learn according to my needs, personal or study ones. Yeah, this is for students or professionals that want to, again, be able to perform their duties in English. It's not for us as teachers. we work more with pedagogy, methodology, activities, but I see your point. Thank you again, Borges Obeso. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. We got Juan de Dios replying to Mitsotis. Q. Uh, Media, Mitsotis. Juan de Dios Herrera, posing his definition. ESP is a type of teaching. The English language is defined to meet the needs of specific learners, depending on the field. Where is applied, this uses a methodology of the field that it serves and is centered and integrated to use the appropriate lexis, genre, and grammar that is required for the discipline of the study. Excellent. Very good, Juan de Dios. That was excellent definition. I wish you provided the source, because if this is yours, you should copyright it. On the other hand, ESP, under specific situations, may use different teaching techniques, definitely, yes, than the general English due to particularities of particular needs. Now, remember, teaching method, the methodologies and approaches are going to be the same. We are going to use whatever is necessary, whatever is applicable, whatever works, so we can help our students learn. Then we got Sandra Isela replying to Juan de Dios. Excellent. Okay, so I'll get back to you guys because I think it's time.